sign. I'm a friend to Auntie Joy.
Good evening, everyone. You're all welcome and great comrade. I want to appreciate everyone for today. My name is Joy Mikey.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Benjamin Osage Febokan. I'm an associate at Shima Williams and Associates. Thank you.
Come and introduce yourself.
Hello, Comrade.
Good evening.
I'm Raji Ujoba Femi, aka Raji Aristotle.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
You are all welcome. It's important that we point out Mary Ihonde is the granddaughter of our Comrade, and Joy is the daughter of our Comrade. And it's important that we point out that I think that's part of the thing. To move on, you are all welcome, and I'm sure that you will be fully entertained at today's event. And before we make progress, we want to kindly appeal to Professor Tony Afejuku to be the chairman of the occasion today. And if that is carried, we call on the chairman to give us the opening remarks as to why we are here, about why we are here, so that
yet he has so much faith in this country and also in human beings. When he died, it was a great shock to me, very great shock, and to all of us who are on this side. We didn't expect him to go at the time he left. Well, as I said before, Shakespeare, more matter, less art. I'm not a lecturer. We're going to hear from the lecturer. Today is in memoriam. And incidentally, I hope I do my duty to him with a little pen, with a little lip that I have. Comrades, I think I just talked to you.
Thanks a lot
to Professor Afejuku and chairman of
our gathering here today. We appreciate your comments, your remarks about our late Comrade,
who is forever present with us. In fact, I tell people, I say if Comrade Ihonde had done the job that he did, then now he would have earned so much money from streaming and all of that that he wouldn't know what to do with money. Maybe from the dint of his hard work. And unfortunately, NTA cannot provide those beautiful programs today. Otherwise, those would have been the inheritance of the Ihonde lineage forever. That is what we have experienced in the Nigeria of today. That the programs that we were built upon, NTA can't present them to us anymore, as if we are talking from the air. Part of the Nigerian conundrum, like he said. We would delay too much. We will hand over the microphone to Comrade Osage Obayuwana. By the way, he just started from Comrade Obayuwana was a lecturer in the Faculty of Law in the University of Benin, and he one time
Assistant Secretary of
ASU long before some of us. In fact, he left the University of Benin because of the crisis that engulfed the university in the 1980s. Something you will learn about someday, but I'm not sure this is the occasion, this is the appropriate occasion to engage that. So, comrades,
I hand over the mic to you.
Thank you very much. I believe I have the permission of Mr. Chairman to ask that the last 4 persons on this row should please come forward to come and occupy these seats here so that we are a little bit more compact. If you will, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I also have the permission of Mr. Chairman to deliver my little address while seated. It's an informal gathering. Firstly, I want to say that I'm glad to be part of this occasion. It is my prayer that each and every one of us, through our record, would have earned a place in the hearts of those we interacted with in our sojourn on earth, to be remembered the way those of us here have resolved that a day like this is one that we should not allow to just go past without marking it in honor of Comrade Jonathan Ihonde in his house. I was given a free hand to speak, and I took a cue from the times we are living in. I was telling Prof here that I returned from Abuja just 2 days ago. And as a matter of fact, Comrade Dr. Nabulele just brought to my attention that as he was coming into Benin, that's when I was going out about 5 days ago. And the importance of the Constitution in this business. What should be the role of the people in the adoption of a people's constitution? The 1999 constitution right now is generally regarded as a fraud. The very first words of that constitution says, "We the people of Nigeria." Did the Nigerian people get a chance to make an input into the final product that we refer to as our constitution today? No. As a matter of fact, the 1999 constitution is an annexure to a military decree. We are witnesses to a situation where even in other African countries, the constitution is subjected to a popular referendum. There will be a vote on it, which will be consistent with those words, "We the people of Nigeria." That is the way we want our country to be. That is the way it will be. And the constitution we have adopted is one that will ensure that. Well, I'm not also unmindful of the fact that as we sit here today, in Bayelsa State, Yenagoa to be precise, the National Assembly is organizing a zonal hearing on what they call alterations or amendments of this same 1999 constitution. This is the window they want to give to us, the people, to participate in the discussion of what should be a new constitution for Nigeria. they decided to arrange it at zonal levels for the whole of the South-South. It is only taking place in Yenagoa. How many citizens from Edo State would, in these days of huge transport costs, abandon their wares as traders or take excuse from their job place to travel to Yenagoa to make their views known on the range of issues we have raised earlier? What is the assurance that even your views will be taken into consideration? So it's more of a charade what they are doing. In fact, this is part of what informed my decision that these issues are current. And that is why I made it the subject of my address today. In the final analysis, we have to ask ourselves, can we afford to be indifferent to these processes that are unfolding? The lecturer, the teacher at Ahmadu Bello University is late now. Along with Segun Oshoba, professor of history, who is a retired teacher from Bafemi Awolowo University, OAU. He's still alive. He's in his 90s now. For tokenism's sake, they were appointed into the Constitution Drafting Committee in 1978. A process that gave birth to the 1979 Constitution that was loaded with conservative elements who were handpicked to do the bidding of the military that appointed them. Comrade Bala Usman and Comrade Segun Oshoba had an ideal people's constitution. Yes, I'm reminded that Comrade Edwin Madulago was part of it too. They put together a truly people's constitution, such that if that constitution had been subjected to a popular a referendum, that is what the Nigerian people would have said they wanted. But the handpicked majority, not to be seen to have completely ignored it, termed it a minority report. Whereas in the real sense, that is supposed to be the majority. So what did they do? They now consigned it to chapter 2. Say they are just aspirations and objectives that Nigeria should be working towards, obtainable whenable. To make matters worse, in the session dealing with the judiciary, they said, you cannot go to court to enforce those rights. Let me just give you an idea of the content of that minority report. That is what dealt with social and economic rights. In that section 2, chapter 2 of the Constitution, every Nigerian has a right to education at all levels. What would determine whether you would get a PhD or not is your competence and your ability and your determination. Once you have shown an inclination to go all the way, money should not be an obstacle. The resources of the country are supposed to be put to use to ensure the realization of that your potential. Because it is appreciated. Whatever skills you acquire is for the service of the nation. So Nigeria has an interest in bringing out the best amongst its people. Free of charge. Likewise, health. Now, we say there's a right to life. If you have a right to life, why should it be the case that the drugs that will keep you alive are available? But the difference between whether you live or die is your ability to afford those drugs. Many of our people cannot even afford the tests to determine what is precisely wrong with them. Today, maybe from poor diet and ignorance, diabetes is on the rise, and people are needing to take medication on a daily basis. So where they cannot afford this medication, what happens? So when our people talk about, oh, this one don't die, the other one don't die, on a daily basis, this flows from this. Has this not made nonsense of the right to life? If your opportunity to live will depend on how much money you have in your pocket. In a similar vein, in chapter 2 of the Constitution, you have a right to a job. How could you have acquired skills and you are not given an opportunity to put those skills to use in service of the nation? Unemployment is a waste. Excuse me.
Sorry, sir.
So in that chapter 2, there's a right to employment on conditions that are favorable. There's a right to housing. Look at the number of our people sleeping under the streets and under bridges. Can you imagine what the quality of life is like for them right now in rainy season? The landlord can throw your things out, you and your members of your family. Say, look, I won't take this anymore. You are owing too many months in arrears of rent. Please get out of my house. And he doesn't give a damn that you are being thrown onto the streets. It's a right to housing. We have had their pension. Traders, farmers. How do we deal with the disabled in our midst? If you look into chapter 2, old age benefits is guaranteed for all. Whether you were a trader or a farmer or a worker or whatever, it's there. So the greatest obstacle is that chapter 2 is said not to be justiciable. You cannot go to court. An unemployed graduate cannot go to court, sue the governor and say, look, I have skills, I want to serve my country. Give me an opportunity to work. And the system right now, because of that clause in section 6.6 of the Constitution, C, that says you cannot enforce this right through the judicial process, it's just there as an objective. So if we are to talk about constitutional amendment or a new constitution, I believe that clause that says you cannot enjoy these rights through the judicial process should be expunged. Do we agree with that?
Yes, sir.
I also believe that if we clarify the issues in this format and we go to all traders in Nigeria, that when they get old, they are also entitled to old age benefits. Do you believe that the traders will vote for it?
Yes.
What about the farmers? What about the disabled? In other words, all this talk about amending the Constitution, all other issues about form, which I started this talk with, is it 6 years or 8 years? how many states should be in the northern. All that will tend to pale into insignificance when we zero in on this chapter 2 of the Constitution. So this is my suggestion that as the talk of the day is about amending our Constitution, we should join hands and say we are insisting that chapter 2 of the Constitution should be what? Justiciable. Should be enjoyed as a matter of right. As citizens. You want to vie for public office in Nigeria, whether as local government chairman or councillor or governor or on paper in the books, that our people enjoy these rights in practice. The argument is that you can have the best constitution in the world, but people will still not enjoy it. That throws the burden on the victims, all those who stand to benefit. So the first clamor is to insist that chapter 2 be made justiciable. Then we should prepare ourselves, those who stand to benefit from it, to insist that those who are in public office, they have no other business than to guarantee the enjoyment of these rights in practice. To be able to do that, my submission today, and I'm rounding up, is that we must be Democrats. We are talking about democratic enjoyment of the wealth of Nigeria by all, especially by those who have been deprived. The poor. Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. Why? We are spending billions in renovating houses. We are spending trillions on the coastal highway. Meanwhile, people cannot afford transport. Those who are working at Uselu Psychiatric Hospital, living at Ugbowo, sometimes they trek. Because the increase in the price of petrol has made transportation a burden. So the goal of a democratic Nigeria must be to meet the best interests of the lowliest in our midst. To be able to do that, we insist that not only those who are occupying public office, but even ourselves must learn to be Democrats. What does this mean? To be a Democrat demands of us that we must yield to superior ideas. First of all, we must give each other the opportunity to express ourselves and to give audience to ourselves and to process the information we receive. We had views before we heard those pieces of information. In processing that information, when we find out that, oh, I never thought about it this way, I think you have a point. It takes being a Democrat to be able to yield to superior ideas, irrespective of the source. The best ideas can come from a child. After all, did the Bible not say out of the mouths of babes and sucklings can come forth great truths? How wise it is to just assume that, oh, women, those ones who urinate through the rear, what do they know? What can they say? The best ideas can come from women. And so on, irrespective of tribe. Oh, all these malams, what do they do? The best ideas can come from a Muslim or a Christian. So it takes a Democrat to grant audience to each other and be persuaded to yield to superior ideas. Of course, what this calls for is an honest consideration of criticism. If somebody criticizes you, Esther, this thing you are doing, there are people right now who will not even listen. Let's get out of what do you do? What are you telling me? You are denying yourself of the opportunity to become wiser. What is at stake if we want to zero in on public office holders? What is at stake is not your ego. President Tinubu, you criticize him today, say, look, even you are talking. He's not listening. He's not processing the information. Atutomi set up a shadow government that will take up the different ministers and their ministries, scrutinize what they are doing, and profile solutions that these things can be done better. But the Tinubu feels threatened. They were almost charging him to court for treason. Somehow what they have done now is to file an action against him. How can you set up a parallel government? As if what is at stake is the ego of the office holder and not the meeting of the best interest of the majority of the Nigerian people. And so, when we say that we should be Democrats, I'm not limiting it to those who are in public office. It also extends to all of us, even in our private lives. How do we, at least everybody here now, I've not seen any child here, we are all past the age of majority. Have you trained yourself to listen to your younger ones? And also teach them to listen to others and to process the information? How receptive are our husbands to ideas coming from their wives? The charity of being Democrats in practice must begin from each and every one of us. This is the reason why hypocrisy is not allowed. Each and every one of us. At the home front, Daddy must learn to respect the rights of Mommy, and both of them must learn to respect the rights of the children. Across board, we must also learn to respect the rights of our friends. The right to hold an opinion different from yours. That ought not to be a basis for terminating the friendship. Or for saying, oh, anybody who is not a Muslim, don't listen to him. Whatever he's saying cannot be good. It's against national interest. At the workplace, we must be democratic in our interpersonal relations. Within NGOs, organizations that we lead, we must put this to practice, because hypocrisy is not allowed. And finally, the whole idea of deepening democracy is in appreciation of the fact that democracy goes beyond periodic elections. A whole lot more needs to be done at the level of deepening democracy in between elections. Mr. Tinubu says he has been elected as the president, you should wait until 2027. So how he manages our affairs right now is of nobody's business. That is not what Chapter 2 says. Chapter 2 of the Constitution guarantees popular participation in the formulation of policies and implementation of policies. The budget-making process right now in Nigeria is used to create business opportunities for office holders. That is why the Benin-Lagos Expressway, with all the potholes, they have not fixed it. They are talking about Calabar, Lagos, Coastal. Trillions. Without bidding. And generally, that is what holds sway across board. The process of governance is being used to create business opportunities for selves and for friends. So if we are to deepen democracy with the new constitution that guarantees the enjoyment of Chapter 2 and popular participation in governance, it means the budget-making process must be thrown open. There's no reason why the NMA should not be given an opportunity to make input into what the state and at the federal level, the nation is going to spend in the health sector. By virtue of their peculiar expertise, to be able to say, Mr. Governor or Mr. President, this is a priority. This is not so much of a priority. Oh, this is overinflated in terms of cost. It's deepening democracy and allowing room for popular participation in the process of governance to create an opportunity for the NMA, Nigerian Medical Association, to make that input. The Society of Engineers, even students. If you take the university setting, students are already, past the age of minority. They vote in elections. How come students are not represented in the governing council, where decisions are taken as to how the limited funds available to the university will be spent? Because the vice chancellors also use those processes to create business opportunities for themselves and their firms. Meanwhile, they expect the students to just be, even the lecturers, to be onlookers. This will call for a training program. Once these issues are clarified, the way we are trying to do it, if the NMA knows that they are going to have an opportunity to make input into the budget-making process, then a certain level of alertness will be stirred up within the ranks. And the same thing goes for the trade unions, women groups, students, to know what the average student needs. So the SUG would, in the final analysis, yes, I'm almost done. This is the way to go. That is why we say we need a people's constitution that is subjected to a popular referendum, and one that insists that the best interests of our people, as far as socioeconomic rights being enjoyed in practice, should be central to that constitution, and it should be enforceable by law. Just to touch on one point. Some of you would have heard about Stalin. He was the leader of the Soviet Union.
Joseph Stalin.
The communist, socialist revolution in the Soviet Union, in Russia, in 1917, had the promise of ensuring the enjoyment of these basic rights by all, not just a handful. But the leadership of a Joseph Stalin brooked no criticism. At that point, it appeared as if the ego of the leader was on the line. What I have tried to share with us today is that, first and foremost, we must be democrats. We must have the humility and the patience to scrutinize criticism and use only the tool of persuasion. Let's assume that whoever is criticizing you is doing so out of best interest of the people. And so where there are errors in their assessment, it's your duty to clarify, not to say crucify them. That is why I say that we must be democrats. The man we have come here to honor today, Comrade Ihonde, was exemplary in being a democrat. He never forced his views on anybody. He would listen even to the youngest amongst us. He will applaud where you make a point. Where you are wrong, he will take his time to clarify, using the tool of persuasion, why he believes you are wrong. So, those of us who have the benefits of learning from him, you will see that we have tried to imbibe these ideas. I have in mind one of our leaders, Professor Siyayi. Perfect gentleman who will listen to you, correct you if you are wrong, acknowledge where you have made a point. That is what being a Democrat, in the real sense, amounts to. You never heard of Comrade Jonathan Ihonde beating your sister? No, it's not possible. Because that consistency.
Even though they will not want me to call them leaders here, but they are leaders, whether they like it or not. I want to say that this has been a very memorable session, and I also appreciate everyone who found time to be here. It is not in the numbers, really. It is in the quality of the engagement. And I think this is what we should always appreciate. I tell people, even in leadership, you find that it's just a small group of people that make things happen. And so when you wait for the crowd, you're just wasting your time. So the people who are here are people who are committed and resolved to changing the lives and changing the situation of our country. I just want to celebrate our comrades, our guest speaker. He has said it all. He has said it all. Like he said, these things really, it's about getting them to realization. Interestingly, sir, you know, I was a member of the National Conference of 2014. And a lot of these issues they talked about, we also talked about. But what has happened between 2014 and now? It's a problem. So that is why it's clear call for a committed resolve and organization to ensure that we get these things enforced. It's very critical. I think that is the missing link in all of this, because you don't wait for the politicians to help you do this. There have been several constitutional attempts at having regional conferences for constitutional amendments. All that happens is their own privileges that are inserted into those pieces that come out at the end of the day. And so the major issues are not touched. So I want to celebrate our comrades. And when he says he was an articulate, you don't begin to say that of our comrade, because since 1460, he has been delivering. So nobody can be in doubt. And let me thank you once again, sir. I think for me, our comrade is not late. He's with us. Our comrades don't die, live forever. And so even as we are gathering here today, he's here with us. The Spirit is here with us. So that is what gives us hope. Because there is nothing you say here that will counteract all that has been said by other people in terms of his values, attributes, and all whatnot. For me, this place was almost like a school for me, because if it was possible for me to relocate my house to this place, because every second you spend with Papa, with our comrades, is like a learning point. You are a school of history. And so those who never had the opportunity, I'm sorry you missed a lot. But through comrades and others, I'm sure we'll be able to, of course, cascade this down. It was a learning house. There was never a moment you will ever regret. And like has been said, it was ever simple. I used to ask myself, this is not like what you have in, general society. I mean, in terms of people who even just ordinary counselor, or even one position they give to them, you see how arrogant and egoistic they are. But here's a man who attained several heights. As far back as the 60s, he was already in the front line of struggles, and yet always very patient to take you through. I mean, it helped me to resolve a lot of contradictions, a lot of issues that I had on my own, and it was always there to resolve. So when we talk about simplicity, humility, you can't get it better than what was exhibited by our comrades. And that is what I have always tried to also preach, that positions are temporary and not permanent positions. So whatever position you are given, use it to drive excellence and performance. There should be no arrogance about leadership. Like he said, our guest speaker, there's so much egoism, there's so much hubristic tendencies being exhibited by our leaders. Just because you and I gave them that partial sovereignty to exercise some rights on our behalf.
For a short period of time.
For a period of time. So, it behooves us. And I think that is what we should continually preach. They won't change it. It is we who will get resolved to change it. And so in our little conference, let's preach this message and gospel. Papa was an exemplary mentor. We don't have mentors again, but apart from our comrades who are here. I mean, part of the decay in our society is the lack of, values and lack of role models. Because those who are presently occupying places of authority, please, I'm happy you are here. I mean, you perhaps our country may be saved through you. Don't emulate them. Because they really have nothing upstairs. You're having criminals in some positions of authority today, and it's not something we should take lightly. And the other day you saw a young man being asked on social media what he wants to be. He said he wants to be a Yahweh boy. Because if somebody in authority can be one of such, then that says it as a role model, sees the person as a role model. So these are things we must deconstruct as we go along, but I don't want to talk too much because we've always been on this lane. But what is missing is the level of organization and commitment towards achieving our dreams, realizing our dreams. And I think there is no better time than now to also get a bit more result. So I want to thank you for coming. God continue to bless the soul of our Papa and our comrades. And of course, bless the children as well. And I'm happy to see some of them here. We must continue this gospel. We must continue to preach it everywhere we find ourselves. Thank you very much. God bless us all.
Thank you, Comrade Osaho. Okay. Thank you. Yes. That is.
Written by a biographer. This was written by a fanboy because Achebe could not have been this much of a saint. And now I come here and I hear mostly the same qualities that Achebe expressed being expressed in this man. So my question is, how do we also get a biography of this, our comrade, so that we can also be inspired by his life, so that he can be immortalized properly?
These young students are not here to listen to our comrades. Then concerning the Nigerians in diaspora, they said if they should allow them to vote, if they're allowed to vote, they have more experience and more knowledge. So they're able to check which party to vote for. Like they've seen things now that are abroad. from the two parties or any particular party to vote for. That if those in diasporas are allowed to vote, they may vote the right persons into power. Then secondly, concerning students, young youth or Nigerian youth not being involved in things of the nation. Number one, I'll say from experiences or what they've seen in society. People that have done these things, like when I was in Lagos then, in my secondary school.
Dr. Saige, thank you now for the explicit lecture. It was so brief but very explicit. It captures what we are supposed to, what to be done for us to move to another level. Raju Jobafemi is my name. Imperial time in Nigeria, there was nothing like Nigeria until 1914. God, he put something very, very nice to us today that even you cannot get it anywhere. In 1884, November scrambled. Let us share Africa for our benefit. About 14 countries. Then UK, Britain and others, France and others. Then they now joined the meeting to 26 February 1885 when they finalized the partition of Africa. Then the Britain took over Nigeria. Lord Lugard came in 1900. Then in 1914, there was a law that joined the North and Southern Protectorate. That was where we started having problems in Nigeria. The fundamental problems, when he was now talking about constitution. After 1914, just a very simple thing they did without consulting the people. That's what he's trying to get us back to again. We need to have a popular participation where unions, market traders, and every other persons will be involved. If students in having a new constitution, what we have was there was an alteration in 1966 by the Aguiyi military intervention. There was a decree 34 that was made to now make the Federal Republic of Nigeria to become a unitary Republic of Nigeria. Because what we have today was a kind of altercation. Stones have been thrown on soldier men. This one was not maybe democratic era, military era. We cross our hearts. Some of us had this jury of rubber bullets. They were able better then. But at the time they started using live bullets, just like the way they did in Lekki. If it was in our time, that thing will not happen. We will scatter Abuja in 2000. I will not forget. Just like someone was saying, don't involve in protest. It's not that we will not involve in protest, but it must be peaceful but very strategic. When we went, University Autonomy policy that Obasanjo was going to introduce, they call it University Autonomy policy. The schools will not be autonomous on their own. So that was a school fees will now increase. It was a date to October 1st. I'm just giving an experience of how actually to an extent, because somebody was saying, should we involve in struggles? We need to also involve in struggle. Meanwhile, we also have intellectual moment like this. This is a rare moment where we can also have to strategize on how to actually go forward. It may not even take to that confrontation level, but sometimes maybe a reform that may just take, you don't need to confront. We got to Abuja very late the night on September 30th. The next day was a Sunday. Then we had to strategize to say, first thing, before anybody gets to the Eagle Square, all of us, all the students from Nigeria, Unibe, everywhere, we are already in Eagle Square. Obasanjo sat down, there was a parade, he was going around. We students did not get up. You see how it can be good to actually carry out struggles. We did not fight them, we were just sitting. So you now saw that these people, in the presence of 4 presidents from other countries, these people disgrace me. They were just misbehaving. Myself and one other boy, we used to call Aluta Choir Master. We went to where the ambassadors from other countries, president, were sharing leaflets to tell them that this man wants to introduce autonomy to universities. So when they were seeing the way we were now being rowdy, they started shooting tear gas. Obasanjo ran away, everybody. That's when they now arrested Philip Shaibu, who was the then deputy governor. So what I'm saying in the essence is that there's a way you can strategize yourself and get to the government house if you don't need anything. It's the student that have the power. That on Monday of it, What we did to Abuja, Obasanjo was surprised. He now begged the IG to release our now president. So we can attain that level. So just as I was also explaining the issue of constitutional role that we need to carry out the constitutional democracy that is an imperative for this time, because we are already gotten the democracy. But the problem we are having now is that we are not having a constitution. The 1999 constitution is an aberration of, just as he said, when he said our people, we the people, we were never consulted, just like we were never consulted in 1914 to bring us together. At a time, when people will be agitated, let's share the country. For me, there is no need to share the country. If you share the country, Igbo man, what he will do to his brother, all of them will start looking for how to share the country at that level again. We are actually in our separate ways, or we are doing business together as ethnic groups in Africa, and especially in Nigeria, when the white man came to join us together. It was a mistake, but it was a blessing to us, because we have majority in the world of the black population as a country. It's a strength to the world economy. We can be on our own economically. Why? Because we already have the population to grow. So having attained the democratic era we were fighting for, what we need now is how to strengthen this institution, to make them, put them in a way that all those benefits that is enshrined in the Constitution in Chapter 2, they are like justiciable. If the justiciability is not determined, then we will not be talking about how to start reforming certain sectors to actually get to where we want to get to. Just like somebody said, to eat is difficult. Things are difficult. It is when we now struggle to actually come together that we can get to where we want to get to. So let's continue participating. Just like Dr. Nabule said, the population is not one matter. Even the United Nations once said that population is not about numbers, it's about people. So those of you here, we really appreciate you. But the boys are nowhere to be found. So thank you very much. Thank you everybody for coming. Okay, sir.
It's of always learning from him.
There is no guest lecturer here. There is an in-house lecturer.
In-house lecturer. The opportunity of always learning from him. Because I tell myself, if I never had the opportunity of learning from comrades and leaders like this, the best I may have been is just a Nigerian, a young Nigerian, passionate about changing the system without ideological clarity. It's not enough to want the society to be better. You have to understand why the society is the way it is. Because it's only when the concrete reality of the society is understood, then we can now start talking about changing the society. And these are the opportunity we get when we come to listen to our leaders talk. The observation is in relation to what our sister said from that angle. When she said she went to the library and she was disappointed that certain books, historic books that she needed, she couldn't find them. I resonate too well with that, because there are also books that I've heard from leaders talked about, books of people like Farrakhan, Sheikh Anta Diop, and most of those books, we don't find them. Ben Johanna, books that talk about the African, the pre-colonial African society. So I would like to propose that part of what we could make today's gathering be is setting up possibly a library, so to speak, in honor of Comrade Ihonde, where these books that many of us find difficult to get, we can always get them in those books. We have many of our leaders who have the access to some of these books. So we know that any student who needs any book, we can always go to a Ihonde library, regardless whatever name we like to call it, and get access to that book. And also, I also hear about what action should we take when there are internal crises on campus and the rest. I would also like to recommend to students here present, on campus, University of Benin, there's an organization called the Liberated Mind. Liberated Mind is, the staff coordinator is one of our comrades here. I encourage you guys to join the liberated mind. It's an opportunity for young people, students on campus to come together to share ideas and find collective way of resolving solutions. So the library, where we can have access to books and liberated minds, where issues that affect the students can be collectively addressed. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Comrade, for this opportunity. I learned a lot from your speech. So, what I want to add to everything that you said, I think it starts by having hope in the country, believing that the country is going to be a better place. Because majority, I'm saying this from like everybody, if you ask everybody, they don't believe that Nigeria is going to become a better place. And it starts by that. When you have hope that Nigeria is going to be a better place, you start working towards it. You just see yourself like, you see yourself being a Democrat. You see yourself listening and looking for ideas to better the country. So it begins with hope. It begins with hope. My mom, for example, she does not even have hope that the country is going to be a better place. She does not listen to news. She does not participate in anything politics. She doesn't even want to hear the name Nigeria. But it does not make it a better. It does not change the fact that Nigeria is your country. So you start by having hope. Believe in your country first. Thank you.
Is that all? No other response? The others have been too busy with their rice and amala and all the rest. Okay. We hand over the microphone to our teacher, our lecturer, to respond to the issues that have been raised. Comrade.
Thank you very much, Prof. I'm elated that we struck a chord together. Same spirit that made us to put aside all the other commitments, that still resonates even after the contribution. Well, just general comments. Some of the points I grew up with. That's what I can share with you. Dare to struggle, dare to win. You may have instances where you struggle and you don't win yet. But if you are persistent, sooner or later, you will win. That's why another comment is, quitters don't win, and winners don't quit. If you are persuaded about a goal, and you believe in your heart that the attainment of that goal is for the benefit of all, especially those historically denied, it's a source of motivation. Among the virtues we have talked about today is consistency. That's what we are celebrating. Comrade Joe Ihonde. You will recall part of the lecture where I talked about those who are deserving and worthy of being celebrated are those who were consistent till the end. Stand up, get up, stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up, don't give up the fight. It's a song that we grew up with. Yeah. So silence and indifference in the face of oppression is not the way forward. Now going to specifics. If your library does not meet your expectations of what a library should be like, it's an issue of struggle. If you are the first to come to that realization, share it with others. Demand accountability and responsibility from the student union government. That is what the union government exists for. Mr. President SUG, this library is a caricature of what a library should be like. So, we want to write formally to the Vice Chancellor that our library, we should be a storehouse of knowledge. Yes, I'm a student in a particular field, but I'm inclined towards broadening my horizon. I want to learn. Remember what I said about input at the level of the governing council by representatives of students. When those who are administering the universities are comfortable using the management process to create business opportunities for themselves, and they are not thinking of the importance of a library in an educational institution, it behooves those who are victims of that system to fight for their rights. Of course, somebody talked about advances in science and how that can be put to use in the waging of protests. When we were growing up, a few years ago, I believe everybody here has a cell phone. That wasn't the case. Somebody talked about distribution of leaflets. Those leaflets, agitational leaflets, to enlighten the victims, because knowledge is power. They were manually produced and manually circulated. I remember traveling to Maiduguri in the back of a trailer to go and distribute leaflets. Your organization today can generate a leaflet, and within an hour, it's all over the place.
It's all over the world.
Yeah. I think Google has a search engine. There's hardly any area of interest of yours now that you want to get some information on. So what is important first and foremost is that spirit of inquiry, wanting to learn. And that is most commendable. Certainly, the whole essence of this program is a celebration of consistency. Comrades have talked about, oh, this one was a disappointment. He started out well. The kind of clothes he's wearing now. He's building hostels all over the place. It's not. That is an attempt to dampen our spirit and our enthusiasm. For every betrayer, there are success stories. We are celebrating one today who was consistent. And we should derive our motivation from these examples, not those who fell by the wayside. Every generation, out of relative obscurity, you discover your mission. That your mission is to say, yes, I've had the benefit of some education, but when I look back, the way things are in this country right now, how am I sure that my junior brothers and sisters who have education? I am passionate because education is liberatory. Make that your mission. Side by side with that, why should anybody go to bed hungry? Why should people eat out of dustbins? Does it not demean your sense of integrity to see a full-grown woman naked, without any clothes, on the streets? And somebody said, oh, that woman, a crazy woman. It's a health condition. She just needs to be treated. All those doctors at the psychiatric hospital and the CMDs, what are they doing? Does that woman even know that she's naked? Is psychiatric problem not a health problem? You want to look away and you thank God that that is not you. As the scripture says, but for His grace, there goes I. So what is your mission? To be a Yahoo boy or girl, to make millions, or to talk about equal rights and opportunities? That the wealth our country is endowed with is for the enjoyment of all of God's children, not for a few. Was Tinubu a comrade? I'm old enough. We were attending meetings together. I was in Lagos then. In Bekor and Sokuti's house. Tinubu was sitting at the back. From the beginning of the meeting to the end, he has nothing to say. I'm telling you from experience. Yet he was among the first to run away. Somebody mentioned it just now. We face bullets. Conviction about what is right and wrong. And protest is not only picking up guns. Passive resistance is a form of protest. And you see our placards. No to hunger. No to unemployment. Yes to health for all. It's a form of protest. Comrade talked about even just sitting down when everybody expects you to stand up. It's a form of protest. So there are forms of protest. Petition writing is a form of protest. If Tinubu was at a point a comrade, can we ascribe consistency to him? No. Why should he be afraid, as we mentioned in the lecture, that Patutomi has set up a shadow government? Say, why doesn't come? How can you set up a shadow government and you are engaged in terror, in treasonable felony? A true Democrat and the comrade would await the outcome of the criticisms and suggestions that the shadow government will bring forth. Because in that shadow government, there was to be an appointee dealing with health matters, dealing with education matters, dealing with economic matters, dealing with physical development, that will subject the policies of the present government to scrutiny. When people are appointed to get the opportunity to also fill their pockets, even if you want to credit Mr. President with the best of intentions, he has an obligation to know whether those he appointed are doing well or not. If the focus is on the best interest of the people of Nigeria. Quite honestly, the way forward is not in individual posturing. And that is one of the strengths of the Comrade we are eulogizing today. One man can carry a placard and go and sit or stand in front of Central Bank, even with these slogans that we have talked about. It's okay, but is that the best? The forces we are fighting are united, even though they may have contradictions amongst themselves. They are united in upholding this system that allows them to keep the privileges that Chapter 2 of the Constitution says should be enjoyed by all. So it only makes sense that it is united action, not individual posturing. I'll tell you something which I didn't get a chance to go into in the lecture concerning the comrade we are celebrating this evening. He played a role in the formation of the Academic Staff Union of Universities. He was raised by the likes of Michael Imodu, Labour leader #1. He was active in the trade union movement, but he saw the need for a multiplication of comrades in the intellectual realm. He encouraged the formation of a union of academic staff of universities. It was part and parcel of appreciating the importance of theory, which is really what we have been dealing with here. If you do not have the correct theory, your practice will be meaningless and aimless. So Labour has and deserves the benefit of his own intellectuals. They are workers, but they are intellectual workers. Who have no other source of sustenance. My comrade is still belly aching over his strike fund. If he has shares all over the oil companies and all of that, he would have forgotten about that. He's not one of those who own hostels where they are exploiting students. As an intellectual worker, if he's not paid his salaries, himself and his children, they starve. So why don't the intellectual workers team up with the manual workers in the trade union movement, who are more in number anyway, and collectively wage this struggle? That was a passion for Comrade Ihonde. Through his work, not only was ASU formed, over time, ASU got affiliated to the Nigerian Labour Congress, attending meetings of the Nigerian Labour Congress, not only at the national level, but at the level of the various states. I was part of that process. Organizing educational programs for the trade unions. The soldiers did not live on their own. At a point, when students were killed by soldiers, the Nigerian Labour Congress went on strike. That was the product of collaboration on an ongoing basis between ASU, NANS, the NLC. In a place like Benin here and in other places, we also brought the farmers into the fold. We brought the traders into the fold because of a common interest we had in the new Nigeria. So when we all strike at the same time, it's massive compared to individual posturing. That's a legacy that your generation must revisit mass action. I'm talking about democracy. Are the victims not more in number than the oppressors?
Yes.
By the time we enjoy our right to formulate policies, is that not taking democracy to a higher level?
Yes.
In my contribution at the conference that I talked about, perhaps not many people will appreciate this. We have an opportunity to deepen democracy beyond the stage that have been arrived at in a place like the US and Britain. Many people believe, oh, those are democratic places, they are developed democracies. But I tell you, what we are proposing represents an advancement over the American experience. How many trade unions, how many professional groups in the US have the opportunity to participate in the formulation of policies in the US? No. Their own democracy is still at the level of periodic elections. In between elections, the electorate, they are onlookers. So, as emerging nations, drawing inspiration from our our past, and if you permit me, let me say this. The white man did not understand our cultural, the civilization we had attained before our contact with them. When an Edo man says, it means when we are talking about progress, it is not a matter for an individual. We had the local government in Edo Central we call Agbazilo. Tagbazio. Collectivism in matters of the collective interests. America doesn't have that. So we are not aping them. So the question of weaponizing poverty, giving people $2 and the 2 naira to vote and all of that is preying on their vulnerabilities. What we achieved, our generation, in sending the soldiers, go and read about the anti-SAR protests, championed particularly by University of BENIN students. Anti-SAR protests, 1989. Is the mass base, the extent to which we have succeeded in clarifying the issues. We are doing so now amongst ourselves. We need to do this with the workers, we need to do this with the farmers, we need to do this with the traders, we need to do this with the unemployed, we need to do this with youths outside of those who are in school right now. Because they also have a stake. So that you as students right now, you don't feel, oh, you have arrived, you enjoy a higher status than those who couldn't get into the university. It's a science. The very day oppression reared its head in society, that oppression created its own victims. And it's those victims of oppression that are placed in the position to do away with that oppression. It's a science. Those who understand this science can accelerate it. That's why you talk about people like Sankara who are full-time agitation, and organizers to shorten the time. But otherwise, sooner or later, it's the dynamics, it's the dialectics of nature. Even if some of us had not been born, it would. So, well, I'm being told again that I'm testing the chairman's patience. It's a biography of a life of service, of consistency. We have the likes of Michael Modu, who inspire us. We have the likes of Chief Nanifawa to inspire us. So why should we allow ourselves to be discouraged by those who are not committed to the ideals that motivate us? Thank you for the opportunity once again.
Well, there's nothing more to add.
Closing remarks now.
Yeah, but before that, let me chip in one or two things. I think Aristotle, when he's got up to speak, he made reference to Shaibu. Oh, but Aristotle is listening. Yes, sir. Shaibu is not a consistent person. As a tribal, it's not a consistent person. Because I don't want to go. Yes, yes, because our young ones should not go without horrible cultists now. Bad ones. What I'm saying, even forget that even if it was a very bad example.
Somebody will say, yes, because of tribal now,
yes,
you can't.
You got the point. So that was a very wrong example at the side. But one thing I want to add again, that is what he said. Many persons, it's a pity that Sylvester is not here, are easily manipulated. And those blokes in power, if they know they cannot manipulate you, you can't go near them. They won't draw you nearer.
You don't even want to go near.
No, I'm just trying to, they know they cannot use you. All those who are where they are today, in the union, in and outside the university, in whatever parliament they are in, they can't use you. They know what to do to you. Or they pretend to like you, use you, and before you know it, they dump you. What is said about Tinubu, your meetings in Berkeley Street, I don't really want who has said this. I don't want to mention names, Wilbur, and a Chakri man who was very close to Tinubu. What Tinubu did is near 80 something, no, almost 90. He just withdrew. And his trick was to pretend to be what it's not. And how he's been succeeding with it, we do not know but time and time and time. Will tell us, because there's consequence, or there are consequences for every action, inaction, and for every action, and all actions. So, Comrade, I don't want to go further than this. Tomorrow I will try to put pen to paper to do my column. What I cannot get, I will not get, but I will get if there's need for me to do part 1, part 2, part 3. For the previous, I will. But I begin part 1 tomorrow, not a part. What I can, because your thing will not get to me.
It will get to you this year.
Oh, good. Then I see there what I can do. Because this is a very, very wonderful question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just a few. No, Joy is the Ihonde direct one, so she will make 1 or 2 observations. But I just wanted to say this. There is a book that will be out next year. We had thought that it was going to be out this year because Ihonde talked about a biography. No, it's not a biography. It's an autobiography. That words from him, from a book written by him, so to speak, that will be published posthumously. And will be out by next year. So there will be something. It will not be our opinions about him, but his own insight about why he had to do what he had to do why he evolved the way he evolved, why he interacted the way he interacted, why he chose the path that he chose. That is one setting. And for my dear friend that went to the library and didn't find the book or books that she wanted, that is part of the reasons that we are in the university. That if you have those kinds of challenges, you reach out for us to see what you do. Who says you cannot protest when you don't find certain books in a library?
Or chemicals in the laboratory?
Who says you can't?
In the lab?
The university is meant to train you. Yes, I tell people, I say my training largely was not from the university because I didn't have to have a lecture formally under a Festus Iyayi, under an Osage Obayuwana, under Anomoto Yeolorode, under Anidowo Awokpetu, under Femi Falana, under Ibekora Somkuti. But the interactions with them over time outside of the classroom clarified a whole lot of things for me in my years of formation. He talked about the anti-SAP riot of 1989, and he just took me back. And I see myself again at the ring road, and the response are the things that we had to do as undergraduates in the university. It was Liu Kagane, Comrade, who told me once when he came here, he said, if I have predicted that you were going to be a lecturer in the university, I would say nobody will take us. Say nobody will employ us for Unive and can't teach. Say, but you did here now. Luke told me that. Of course, we have also had people like Okben, who is now. And so if like uses those ones as examples,
and a reason for not getting involved.
Each person, like Comrade said, like France, he was quoting France Fanon, that each generation must out of its relative obscurity discover. Find your mission. What is that thing that you want to do? What do you want to be? It's not about who anybody else is. It's about your values. It is easy for me to ask all of you to contribute monies for me, and the world will not come to an end. The world will come to an end. I will only be caught once. Okay, we will debate it. I will beg, right? And they say, therefore, we forgive you. Okay. You must decide who you are and what you want to be and who you want, what your goals are. And that is why you do not look behind to say, I hope I haven't done something wrong there. The point is be consistent about what your values are, how you want to pursue those values. Who are those you look up to? Of course, you can look up to certain people at some point, they disappoint you. You decide that, look, I no longer have any business with you. I move on. You have become part of the experience of how not to be. And you can find somebody else who has become something. He has become part of the experience of how to be. Comrade used to tell us, he say, one step forward, three steps backward.
Backwardness.
Yes, you can have that experience. Okay, you are moving, but you wait, you pause, you go back, say, come on, this path that I'm treading isn't leading anywhere. The Chinese have a way of saying it. Say no matter how long you travel on the wrong road, you will never get to your destination.
Wrong road is the wrong road.
And if you want to get to your destination, you must return to the base to follow and to return to the base may take longer years than you had taken to get to where you were before you want to now find your base. And the chairman has said that we should be rounding up, and I know that you people we have tried your patience. It's good that you were here. And that where is Joy? Joy, come. Why? Who said you go sit down there? When you see they tell me, not tell me say you they go sit down there. You tell me say you they come sit with us. And the chairman has said I should give you the microphone to the vote of thanks.
Good evening once again, everyone. I really want to appreciate everybody that came in.
Could you introduce yourself to us again?
Okay. I'm Joy Mikey Ihonde. I am late by Ihonde's fifth child. I want to really appreciate everyone that came in here and comrades and all. I want to also thank you all for being here in remembrance of my father after 1 year, and today make it another 1 year of his birthday remembrance, also 1 year he passed on. I want to thank everyone that came. For my daddy, he has been a very wonderful father to everyone. For life, we keep talking about him. Even me till the end of my life, even at my old age, I'll still keep talking about my father. He was a very wonderful father. I know he imparted life, so many. Sometimes when I go to places, people ask me, is that your father? Are you sure? Because sometimes, like when we're talking things now, are you sure you are not taking trace of characters of your father? I will just like, I'm not quiet. They say, because your father we know. But I learned so many things from there. And I try to be part of what he has dropped for us. I want to continually to be part of what he has dropped for us, because if you see the legacy he has dropped, I don't really know if anyone can beat it, even we as his children. And I want to really thank everyone that is here. I want to thank everyone because I'm short of words, because my father is a very great and wonderful man, so peaceful, so calm, so quiet. I don't even know what the adjective to use for him.
Determined.
Yeah, the man is too, I don't know. Sometimes I shout and say, Daddy, sometimes talk. He will say, Even when he's lying there in the UBT, I still remember when I was trying to say, be calm, be calm. He was still telling me, be calm. You know, that calmness in him, I still try to, I want to have it. I've not been able to, but I want to strive to it, because he's calm. So I want to thank everyone that has heard much about him. Get to it, work with it, and whatever that comes out from him about his books and everything, still tap from it. May God bless everyone. We, the entire family and everyone, we want to appreciate everyone that came in here. We thank you all and God bless you. We love you.
It's all over.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you